This week on Jerusalem Dateline, we're coming to you from Egypt. The Arab Spring Revolution has taken a new turn. Will it turn into civil war, or does it mean a second chance at freedom? Plus, Egypt's Christians, many are celebrating the changes as a miracle, and atrocities in the Sinai Desert. This lawless region is home to some of the most ruthless criminals on earth. Our exclusive report on a brutal industry of kidnap for ransom. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell, this week reporting from Cairo. The massive demonstrations that led to the ouster of Mohammed Morsi and a crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood, many are calling Egypt's second revolution. Now that Egypt's citizens have rejected Morsi and his Islamic agenda, many are questioning the role of the Obama administration in his government. Whether it was Tahrir Square or outside Cairo's presidential palace, millions of Egyptians stood behind what they call their new revolution. This is one of the many anti-Morsi demonstrations taking place throughout Egypt. Demonstrators here are upset with the Obama administration for what they say is their support for the Muslim Brotherhood. The demonstrations prominently displayed signs saying U.S. President Obama supports terrorism. He also carried signs criticizing the role of U.S. Ambassador to Egypt, Ann Patterson. They feel she and the Obama administration gave legitimacy to the Muslim Brotherhood, what they see now as a terrorist group.
You want to tell me that you fight terrorism in Afghanistan and you finance it in Egypt?
Michael Munir of the U.S. Coptic Association says for 2 years, the Obama administration marginalized secular leaders, moderate Muslims and Christians, while propping up Islamists.
Throughout these two years, Ann Patterson would not meet with secular leaders as much as she met with Islamists and Salafis and jihadists. And she propped them in American media and made them look like they're political operatives.
Munir and others feel the Obama administration helped Morsi maintain his power. Former Israeli ambassador to Egypt, V. Mazel, can't understand the U.S. support for the Muslim Brotherhood.
Something went wrong, to my humble opinion, in the White House. They just did not understand what was happening in the Middle East and especially in Egypt. And then they gave their support to the Muslim brothers. To my mind, that was the time to stop giving them assistance, to cut. Not now, not now. Now they should give them the assistance. They should help them to fight the Muslim brothers. So they did the other thing around. Can you imagine?
Many hit the streets because they feared since his election 1 year ago, Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood were using democracy to establish a dictatorship.
He became like a god. We took to the streets just to protest against this decree and saying that you will not be a dictator and this country is free.
Mohammed Suleiman is one of the young activists behind the protest. They gathered 22 million signatures against Morsi's government. When 30 million Egyptians flooded the streets against Morsi on June 30th, the largest political gathering in human history, it set the stage for his dramatic ouster by the army and a stunning rejection of the Muslim Brotherhood. Suleiman says the Muslim Brotherhood failed to provide even the basics.
This government was disastrous. They couldn't manage the country. They couldn't provide us with the basic needs for life, bread, water. We suffered from electric shortage, fuel shortage. Even there was lack of security in the streets. We became threatened.
Many Egyptians feared their country without a change would become like Iran, an Islamic theocracy. The leaders behind this revolution insist it's not a coup, but a popular uprising.
How could that be a coup? We organized this 4 months ago. We told the people to go and sign petitions to impeach Morsi, even though we don't have anything in the constitutions, but we wanted to show the outside world that we're organizing this.
Despite the millions in the streets supporting the new government, the Muslim Brotherhood vows it will continue to fight.
We'll continue uplifting the pressure, and it will increase the pressure on the SCAF Council and the military coup dictatorship until they recede and reinstall President Morsi back to his rightful seat.
No one can predict what will happen next, but the recent violence is one sign there may be a long, hard road ahead for Egypt. That's why many Christians here are asking for prayer for the Arab world's most strategic nation. Perhaps no group is more thrilled at the fall of the Morsi government than Egypt's Christians. The specter of an Islamic government empowered by the Muslim Brotherhood created the fear of greater persecution. Indeed, since 2011, attacks against Christians have increased. Today, Christian leaders are saying the fall of the Morsi government is nothing less than a miracle. This is Tahrir Square, the epicenter of the huge demonstrations that have taken place in the past few weeks. Here, Egyptians have gathered by the millions and changed the course of Egypt's history.
Change the atmosphere as if you are breathing a new air, a fresh air, freedom.
Pastor Sami Taufik of the El Deborah Evangelical Church just outside of Tahrir Square describes the events of the past few weeks as nothing short of miraculous.
For me, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's God's hands. Nobody can do that. We could see God's hands in the first revolution, the 25th of January. But this time we see it more clearly.
In another part of Cairo, Father Antoni Grish, the spokesman of Egypt's Catholic Church, also says he sees the hand of God.
We consider the dismissal of Morsi and his party, his community, his Muslim Brotherhood, is really a miracle. It was the hand of God. Because one day before his dismissal, we could never think or dream that he would leave. So it is the hand of God. We see it clearly.
He says the Muslim Brotherhood wanted to establish an Islamic caliphate and change Egypt.
The Muslim Brotherhood who were trying to steal Egypt. Now all the Christians and the Egyptians will tell you, now we regained Egypt as we know it. That everybody is free.
Yet that freedom's future is uncertain. Whether or not the Muslim Brotherhood will continue to reject the new government or even begin a new violent intifada remains to be seen. That's why Christians throughout Egypt are asking for prayer for Egypt's future. Coming up, we'll explore Egypt's future. Will the country step back from the brink of civil war? And can it form a new government guaranteeing freedom for all?
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't!
They've taken him to Golgotha,
We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is risen. Available now.
Welcome back to Jerusalem Dateline, coming to you this week from Cairo. What's the future of Egypt? Will it embrace true democratic reforms, or will the Islamists try to make a comeback? CBN News senior international correspondent Gary Lane spoke with Samuel Todros. He's a Coptic Christian and the author of Motherland Lost, the Egyptian and Coptic Quest for Modernity.
It doesn't appear that the Islamists are giving up power willingly, Sam. How likely is an Algeria-style clash between the Egyptian military and the extremists?
The Brotherhood so far has not decided to go to any violent means. It has decided to contest this military move by holding massive demonstrations in the Egyptian streets. And by doing so, their strategy is basically that of Chavez in Venezuela when there was a coup against him. And that is basically by continuously remaining on the street, offering themselves as martyrs, as they put it. They are forcing the Egyptian military to back off. Of course, the military is not likely to do so. The continuation of the violence in the street, however, is likely to result in a wave of violence that Egypt would see in the future, but nothing as massive as we had in the case of Algeria.
Well, do you think we'll then see a crackdown on the Brotherhood to the extent that we've seen in the past, where they're outlawed and banned?
The problem, of course, is that even under Hosni Mubarak's rule, you got 1,000 arrests here and there, but the Brotherhood existed. We're talking about an organization of 500,000 members at least. So arresting 500,000 people is not likely to happen tomorrow or any time in the future. So a political solution is the one that everyone is hoping for or seeking, whereby perhaps a couple of the Brotherhood leaders would be arrested, punished, but the organization as a whole would feel that it is not alienated from the political game and would have some kind of arrangement to continue in the Egyptian system.
How can elections for a new parliament and president move forward without the support of the Salafis and the Islamists?
It's quite hard. At the end of the day, those people received 72% of the votes of the Egyptian population, and they're not about to disappear from the country. They're there, their bases are there, their mosques are there, their recruitment is there. Yes, you've closed a couple of TV channels. Yes, you've arrested a couple of people here and there, but at the end of the day, the Islamization of the Egyptian society is now deeply rooted. It's a phenomenon that started a long time ago and is impossible now to change in just a matter of days. So you cannot ignore them. You want to reach a formula that allows the Islamists to participate in the political process, that they feel that they have a stake in the country, yet they're not allowed to dominate it completely.
Now, American aid, we give almost $2 billion a year in total aid to Egypt. Do you think the aid should be discontinued?
The U.S. now finds itself in a situation where it has lost the support of what is considered its traditional allies, which are the liberals, seculars, Christians, and so on. At the same time, it's afraid to anger the Islamists, because if the U.S. is seen as backing this military coup, it will be a grievance, a grudge that the Islamists will hold against the United States for hundreds of years to come. So it will become something like the Mossadegh removal in Iran. Because of this, the U.S. needs to take a firm position that it does not support the idea of removing a democratically elected government by force, even if we know this government has been not in its best behavior, even if we don't like this government. Most of the U.S. aid has already been spent in this regard. There's no likely spending to occur in the next couple of months. So by taking a position of suspending U.S. aid for the next 4 or 5 months until a parliamentary or presidential elections take place we set not to lose our relationship with the Egyptian army, because the aid will not in reality be affected, but it will send a strong message that we uphold the principles of democratic elections and civilian governments.
Israel has kept relatively quiet about developments in Egypt. And why do you think that is, and what do you think the future holds for the Egyptian-Israeli relationship?
The Israelis realize very clearly that any word uttered regarding the situation in Egypt is likely to be used by one side of the current fight in its favor and to tarnish the other. So any position they would take would automatically result in problems in Egyptian-Israeli relations. The Israelis, of course, have had a long standing relationship with the Egyptian army. They've cooperated in various anti-terrorism, stabilization of the Sinai, various issues regarding Gaza. At the same time, they realize that the Islamists are there and will not disappear in one night. So they need to also be keeping a very quiet balance out there, maintaining their key strategic issues. They want to make sure that what's going on in Egypt does not result in a complete collapse of the Sinai. We've already seen jihadist movements declare some form of independence in the north of Sinai. This is something that the Israelis are extremely worried about. So a stable Egypt, one that does not have those kinds of clashes going on a daily basis, is in Israel's best interest.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, criminals target Christians, taking them thousands of miles from their homes to extort money from their families, exposing a brutal kidnapping ring in the Sinai Desert.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
From the east coast of Africa to the deserts of Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, Bedouin tribesmen are conducting a human trafficking trade on a massive scale. The trade reaps millions of dollars and deals in human misery. While it's no secret and could be stopped, so far, no one has dared.
By that time, I had lost sense in both of my hands. It was the result of the accumulated torture, but mainly because both of my wrists were tied up so tight and I was hanged up from the ceiling for 3 days.
He's just one victim of a widespread modern-day slavery, kidnapping, and torture trade in the Sinai Desert. You can find many pictures and videos of this horrible practice on the internet. We call this Christian man from the African country of Eritrea Philip, but that's not his real name. We covered his identity for his protection.
In some cases, we were tortured just because we were Christians.
Sinai was always a place for human smuggling, but since around 2 years ago, even a little bit more, it started to be also a place of human torture.
Shahar Shoham is with Physicians for Human Rights. They've documented more than 1,300 cases of torture in the Sinai. Those survivors, like Philip, made it to Israel. But most of the torture cases are not documented.
They torture them in horrible methods, like hanging upside down from the ceiling, like using electric shocks, like burning them on their bodies.
The story begins in Eritrea, where many like Philip fled from its brutal dictatorship. He traveled to a UN refugee camp in Sudan. There he was kidnapped by a Bedouin tribe. They transferred him, along with many others, through Sudan, Egypt, and all the way to the Sinai Desert and their torture camps. What happens next in these camps is diabolical.
What they do is make you call your family and ask them for the money. Usually they would do the asking. What they would do is they would say, you either send this money, or it could be your brother would die, or your father would die, or your son would die. It depends on whoever's picking up the phone. And while you're talking to your family, they would pour molten plastic on your body so that you would scream, and perhaps they would thought that might persuade our families to pay or collect the money faster.
The tribesmen demand what for most poor Eritrean families is a king's ransom.
The ransom fees right now can go up to $40,000 for an individual and even $50,000. And until the ransom fees will not be paid, the people will not be released.
The financial burden on the families is devastating. Sister Aziza is a Catholic nun from Eritrea and based in Jerusalem. She interviews many of the Sinai survivors.
People are destroyed psychologically, physically, because of also that, because they know what happened to their family and how they are living.
But many do not make it out alive. Many with Philip died. Yet the torture and the dying go on. We talked with a 35-year-old Eritrean woman named Sagan while she was still in captivity. She was 5 months pregnant. The kidnappers give them cell phones so they can call their family and friends to beg for money. Maron Estefanos, an Eritrean human rights activist living in Sweden, arranged our conversation. We talked via Skype, linking Sweden, Jerusalem, and the Sinai Desert. It was sobering. You could hear the strain in Sagan's voice.
They're asking for money every minute. They hit us. They would make them lie down in the floor, and then they would hit their feet and melt with melted plastic bags, and also so that way they cannot stand, because they would torture their feet, and at the same time, she said, every day they hang them like the way they used to hang Jesus Christ.
A majority of the Eritreans, like Sagan and Philip, are Christians. Many don't survive.
There are around 7,000 people that went through these torture camps and 4,000 that died. Those are huge numbers, and I don't think the world needs to keep quiet about that.
Philip miraculously survived and made it to Israel, where he received life-saving medical treatment. The location of these torture camps is no secret.
Their location and whereabouts is known already to many high officials.
But so far, the government of Egypt hasn't done anything about them.
The only way out of this problem is for the international society, for the international community, to put pressure on the Egyptian government to release these victims, to stop these human traffickers.
Majed El-Shafi, a human rights activist, believes some of the American financial aid to Egypt could be used with conditions to help these victims.
Every American listening to us right now, not only Americans, anybody in the world, you can make a difference. You can contact your congressman, you can contact your senator, you can show them that you care about these issues. If you send an email or fax or you make a telephone call, you can save a life.
When Jerusalem Dateline returns, few know that Egypt has a significant place in biblical prophecy, but the country's Christians know it by heart.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison and shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Welcome back to Jerusalem Dateline. One of the things we've heard from evangelical Christians here is the importance they place on the prophecy about Egypt in Isaiah chapter 19. It reads, "In that day there will be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrians will come into Egypt, and the Egyptians into Assyria, and the Egyptians will worship with the Assyrians. In that day Israel will be the third party with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing in the midst of the earth, whom the Lord of hosts has blessed, saying, Blessed is Egypt my people, and Assyria the work of my hands, and Israel my inheritance." We spoke with one evangelical Christian, Eva Boutros, about what she feels is God's love for the land of Egypt.
Blessed be my people Egypt is something when you hear it, your heart is moved. We are His people. We are so precious to Him. And the reason we do field hospital, we do any ministry now, because we know how His people are so precious to His heart. And when I mean this, I don't mean the Christian or the nominated Christian people. I mean His people, the Egyptian.
Eva, Coptic Christians and Catholics are encouraging other Christians around the world to pray for the land of Egypt for such a time as this. Well, that's it for this edition. I'm Chris Mitchell reporting from Cairo. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.